Little Higher podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
Feels like it's been a very long time, but we are back and we're going to be discussing lots of different things, what happens during the week, what happens in the public eye, and a little bit about us and who we are. So today will be heavily focused around us and what we have been doing and what we are doing now. And we are introducing Storme into the mix today because people are very used to Kamal and I, but we are aging and boring now.
Oh, say it like it is.
So do you want to sort of talk about what the Aim a Little Higher podcast is and why it stopped for a period of time, Kamal?
Sure. So the Aim a Little Higher podcast is an opportunity to have a longer, deeper, further conversation around some of the themes we're focused on, right? Which is raising aspirations regardless of circumstances, bridging the gap between education and business, and also just helping people to get exposed to new ideas that they maybe wouldn't come across in their normal day-to-day life. I didn't realise how much your perspective is fixed from your upbringing or the people around you, right? And I got out into different circles and I'd hear conversations people were having and they just having these normal conversations about, I don't know, it could be something simple as like a certain type of car. And where in my old conversation, that car would be like, oh, that'd be amazing, it's a dream. These conversations would be like, yeah, that's a goal, I'll try and do that by next year. Just little adjustments like that. And I just realised actually, if you're not exposed to what's possible, you sort of end up in that same sort of space, same level of expectation, same level of possibilities. And yeah, if we can just expose someone to a new idea that makes them think, maybe I could do a little bit more, then the podcast is worth it. It hasn't been...
Just on that really quickly, I think it's really valid that when we talk about the different points of view, me and you are very opposing on a lot of standpoints.
Yeah.
And I guess in addition, we wanted to get Storme in because she has a different opinion to us as well. So I don't think there's many podcasts that are out there that discuss things with such different points of view from different standpoints. Grew up in different areas, different views on life, politics, social media, all things like that. And I think to bring it into more of a conversation, firstly shows that we're not so opposed as what people might try to actually make out it to be. Yeah. But in addition, it shows that open communication and open conversation, we might actually agree on certain things where we differed in the first place, and everyone can be convinced of a different viewpoint sometimes.
Genuinely. And to not get offended with someone disagreeing with you. Like, it's okay. You're allowed to disagree and not be offended. But I'm not gonna rant straight away. But yeah.
So, Storme, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, so I'm Storme. I'm obviously new here. And it was really interesting becoming part of the team because I remember in our interview, you were both like, you can speak, you can be a speaker. And I was like, I didn't think speaking could be a job. Like, I didn't think it was a talent. I kind of just thought, like, I ramble. And usually people are like, okay, you talk too much, relax. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just really interesting being given an opportunity to do something that I found quite natural. So yeah, like apart from speaking, I just do everything. Like I read, I paint sometimes, but I said to you, my attention span is very short.
Yeah.
So I think I have something to put my creativity into now that's not so plain.
Yeah, I get that. I think we were all probably told that we talk too much at some point.
Yeah, it's kind of it seems to be a prerequisite of working with Aim a Little Higher that someone has, at some stage has told you talk too much and you can be safe here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think attention span is also one of those things. Like, my attention span is terrible. I can't sit through a movie.
Yeah, it's really annoying. I tried to take her through the Avengers, well, the whole Marvel universe in order, and that took so long because it needs to be sat and watched. A movie should be sat in one sitting, whereas she treats it like a TV series. Yeah. And it's like, it's not episodic. You stay and just enjoy. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm very bad at that. So why did it stop for so long? Probably a little bit to do with our attention span, actually. I'll take the blame. I have a history of getting really into something, doing it, enjoying it, and then being like, that was great, what's next? And surprised we're still running as a company.
Literally. And yeah, that we're fixing that. I'm working on it. And also we've actually expanded the team so that I'm not doing everything. I think when I'm doing everything, I'm getting like really into the editing and all of it. So then it becomes all encompassing. I get obsessed with it, which is a great thing and a bad thing. But once I'm not obsessed with it anymore, I'm obsessed with something else and it's gone. Whereas now we've got a Stephen in the building. Woo woo. He's got to make sure it keeps running smoothly and on time and consistently. So yeah, sorry.
No, I think it's on everything. I think you get swept away with doing a million other things at once, and also like there's only so much of an opinion that we can have, and because also we live together, we discuss things all the time, off and on the podcast. Whereas actually, like having Storme in here and hearing her point of view, we're also growing. So I think it's beneficial to like everyone involved now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've got a good feeling that we should be able to like mix and match as well, and sometimes you might not want my deep bassy voice in here and you guys throw it down and etc. So yeah, a lot of flexibility. I like it a lot.
So I guess I just want to sort of highlight very briefly what each of you want from this podcast, of what you think we're going to be bringing to people. And yeah, because I think it will be slightly different from person to person. So we'll start off with Kamal, and then we'll go Storme, and then we'll go me.
Sweet. I just want this podcast to be a place where you can come and chill, and listen to some ideas that you may agree with, that may challenge you, that may make you think a little bit, and that's it. Like my favourite podcasts are the ones that I chuck into my ears. I can be doing all my other transitional things, or I'm chilling in the evening, I chuck a video on YouTube, and it just allows me to like escape from my day to day, tune in with these other people who, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I know them all because I listen to the podcast all the time, check in, see how they're doing, and leave thinking slightly different about just even the smallest thing. Like the last podcast I listened to, I left it thinking, that's interesting. When you invest money, you're not sacrificing that money, it's still yours, it's just in a different place. Really simple idea, but every time I thought about investing, I was like, I've got to give up this money and put it in that account. When you're like, send some savings over, I'm like, I've got to spend this money. And it's like, well, you're not, you're just sort of transferring its location. So yeah, like a simple idea that will help me a lot probably moving forward. And I just want this to be a place where you come in, treat it like a buffet, eat the bits you like and leave the rest for someone else.
Okay.
Cool. So I quite like podcasts where we talk about things that are happening in real life. So I kind of want this one to be a place where someone could see something on their feed and be like, okay, the Aim a Little Higher crew are going to talk about that this week. So they know what they're coming in for. And because we all have quite different perspectives, they will get different perspectives on that topic. Because when you see something on your feed, it tends to be because you already agree with it.
Tell me about it.
So it'll be good to have someone know, okay, I think like this, but I know they're going to talk about it, and Eliza might say something different, or Kamal might bring up a point that's not mentioned here that now I know of, or Storme might agree with me and we'll see what she says about it. So like that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like the like keeping up to date with different things and hearing people's point of view. I think the whole feed thing is so dangerous, and I definitely I think everyone gets wrapped up into it of hearing like the same thing over and over again, and then you get your like beliefs and values sort of like given justice to and like more heard, whereas actually your values might change if you just listen to somebody else's point of view. So I think that's probably the most valid thing to me, because how self-aware can you be if you're just listening to yourself over and over again? Probably not very self-aware.
It's the scariest concept. When I saw, it's on Netflix, there's like a show and it was like these people, they're sort of like in the computer, and it was done like in a very funny way, but it was like the algorithm. It's like, oh, he's not picked up his phone, picture of his ex. Oh, she's not engaged, showed a best friend out with their mates and she's not invited. And it was like that evil. Yeah. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this algorithm thing does really control everything. And when we were in lockdown, you had all the stuff, the BLM stuff going on, you know, you had all these different things going on. It showed me how clearly everyone was saying the same thing in my timeline. And I was like, how can no one have a different opinion on something? And when you start searching deeper, you realise, oh, this person has a completely different opinion. But I only found out because I had to go and search through people's pages, or someone wrote something on mine and it caused an argument, and then other people got in, And it was really scary of like, well, if no one had done that, I'd think we all think the same. And so, yeah, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, that's also due to a lot of people getting their personalities from like social media, which means their opinions are all the same. But it's true, because you see it when you talk to, like, for example, younger generations. They all use the same catchphrases, or they all talk the same, or they call each other the same thing. Like, if you go into school, hi bestie, you know you're going to hear that like 5 times a day. And it's because they see the same things, so they don't have a space to develop their own personality, which means that their opinions are all the same. And it's just like repeated, but worded differently, so they think I'm getting another opinion, but it's the same opinion told differently.
Yeah, I think it's just so important to like be so self-aware. I think everything after that is so much easier. You probably know where you want to work, who you want to work for, what you want to do, who you want to surround yourself with. And like, if anyone upsets you, you sort of like are like, oh well, I know it's fine because they don't fit in with my morals anyway. And you sort of have that standpoint. So on that basis, something that has gone on this week, not this week actually, but like in the last couple of weeks, is the Oscars. Now I don't even know who watches the Oscars anymore. Like, I haven't watched the Oscars in 7 years? It's a bit like X Factor. It's like one of those things I just don't watch anymore.
I've never watched the Oscars in my life. I've watched highlights, so I've seen like Ricky Gervais's opening monologue, and that's all I've really cared about. So never watched it. Watched the Oscars?
No, I've never watched it. All I've seen is like the outfits from the red carpet, but that is the extent of the Oscars that I see.
So they had the Oscars. I still think it was like one of the lowest sort of Oscars watched ever in the history of Oscars.
Yeah.
But obviously we had the whole like Will Smith, Chris Rock controversy.
Will.
I guess so. Storm, what was your viewpoint on that?
So I just found that it happened so quickly. Like, 1 minute everybody was laughing, and then the next minute he got up from his seat, and I was like, it's going to be another Kanye West situation, and then it turned out to be another Kanye West situation, and it was just a lot. But in terms of, do I think it was right? I don't, because I feel like I know what his point of view was. He was standing up for his wife. It was disrespectful, but I feel like it could have been handled behind the scenes, like where it needed to be handled. But there's a lot of controversy over, was it staged? Was it not staged? In the rehearsals, did he say it then? Did he not? So it's like a big thing, isn't it?
That's a good point. I forgot about the rehearsals.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. With the whole stage thing, it's tough because like they're literally actors, literally performers. If it was staged, then I got to take my hats off to Chris Rock, and he deserves an Oscar because his reaction seemed so genuinely good. Like there was this thing he did where like he couldn't get words out to wrap this situation up, and just gave up on that sentence and like moved on, and then messed up his next line as well. Of like, we're giving out Oscars for documentary, and then he got back into his flow. But there was like a real 30 to 45 seconds of just flustered.
But his composure, like, if anyone had done anything like that to me, I like, my composure would be nil.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have any. So for him to have like the amount of composure that he did was amazing to me. Hats off to him in either scenario, in all honesty.
Yeah, you talk about a professional. Like, you kept the show going, having just been slapped in the face. And told a joke, like, within the whole thing going on as well. So people were still laughing while trying to figure out... Yeah, like, the top professional is Chris Rock. As far as my boy Will... Will.
See, Kamal's always loved Will Smith.
Will.
I haven't, actually.
Yeah, true. You're not a Will Smith
I've
fan.
never liked him. I've always like found him and his like relationships weird. I find his acting and like when he's on TV shows just a bit odd. I actually don't know whether the line was as offensive as people saying it is, but I am very hard to offend. I'm not very offended very easily. So in my head, I do know people that have struggled with alopecia, but I also do think that like G.I. Jane is not I mean, looking at her, she's not ugly, she's not like anything, she's just got short hair. So I wouldn't say, even if it was like, if she took it offensively, that's fine, but offense is something that people take, it's not something that people give out. And in my head, it was just the fact of, you've got short hair, you look like G.I. Jane, is the next casting. You've decided to get offended by that, and arguably because it's a comedian and he was getting a laugh from it and everybody laughed.
Yeah.
But I don't know, comedy for me is one of those protected spaces where people can really say what they want to who they want. I'm very like South Park, Book of Mormon when it comes to things like that, like take the piss out of everyone, that's fine. And I also don't really get offended. So in my opinion, I thought her reaction was quite odd. And then I also thought that Will's reaction to go from laughing to then going up on stage, hitting somebody, and then going back and using profanity and shouting, for me as well, it like you're sat there with like the wealth, so much wealth, so much like ideology around just you as people, and you've now used that platform to be aggressive. And as being with Kamal, I've seen how people can take black men being naturally aggressive, and I thought, how dare you use your platform there to just exemplify that. Because in where you have all the wealth, all the opportunity in the world, and you're still doing that, because it's not going to affect them realistically. He's probably going to go on and live a really good career.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is like those people in lower classes or at home that are going to school, sadly, those viewpoints that were tainted before are now probably more heavily tainted.
Yeah. It's one of those that I look at and go, when you go to the Oscars and you're sat in those big front rows, like, and the space they each had, like, it was set out, you're going to be roasted because there's a comedian on the show. I personally will, if I go to a comedy show, if I can't get one of the front row seats, I lose a bit of interest in going to that show because I want to be roasted. Like, I think that's the point in comedy. Like, how quick are you on your feet? How's your comeback? If I heckle, can you come back at it? And I love that. So I think for the sport of it, I was disappointed in his response. Because he's done comedy. He's done the jokes on stage at people.
Well, apparently he took the mick out of someone that did have alopecia. Like
on the Arsenio Hall years ago. Yeah, right. So it's like, you know the sport. So in the name of the sport, I was quite disappointed that you're now getting physical with someone for that sport. I'm not mad at a response. Like, that's your wife, you got to respond. I'm disappointed that someone who is top producer, top actor, rapper, comedian couldn't beat him with words.
Yeah.
That was disappointing because I'm like, you're so creative. You come from a rapping background where this is what rappers do, and you slapped him and then was like, keep my, and it was just shouting, and I was just like, oh man, you could have done something there. You could have done something that everyone laughed at, that made the point, was funny. You won. And everyone continues and feels all right. So I was disappointed in the way he did it. With regards to the defending thing, I know you can miss things that your wife hears. But that's very real. That's very real. You could
I've
be
on
in
many occasions been offended.
100%.
Said absolutely nothing.
100% missed it. Like, they said, what? Who? Where was I? If I heard that, missed it. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not looking out for.
Also, you're just not a good listener. That's what I was going to ask you. Like, how would you feel if you were Jada in that scenario? Would you expect your partner to go and do that?
I wouldn't expect my partner to do it in that situation. Like, if I felt as offended he thought that she did, maybe afterwards, because Will Smith and Chris Rock are friends, or they were friends prior to this. And did you guys know that Chris Rock has a problem with social cues?
Oh no, I didn't.
Like, he's got some sort of like disability where he struggles to pick up on social cues.
How interesting.
And people were saying like that could have been, you know, how confused he was afterwards, knowing that Will Smith is obviously a comedian, actor as well, why he had that response. And you can kind of see like Chris Rock look in the audience and be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like if my partner had done what Will did, I would have found it kind of embarrassing, because it's like, we're here, it's a big event, everyone's in the audience, probably our family, friends, and then it just wasn't the right place, right time kind of situation.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think personally, if I'd have seen you get up, I'd have walked off. There is no way I'm standing there and you're embarrassing me like that, because realistically the angles and the camera are now on me.
Yeah.
And a lot of the preference is now on Jada, with the fact of like, did Jada make him go up there? Was Jada offended? And then afterwards she made like a thing, didn't she, saying, I'm
healing or
something from this. And I just thought, like, how very odd. I think mine would literally be like anger and you need to go and sort yourself out, because that's not the way that we behave when we're outside. But yeah, really interesting viewpoints, and like really good to hear about that, and from a different perspective, because I didn't know Chris had that. And I also think from both the women's standpoints that actually we wouldn't have wanted that to happen.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And from my understanding is you probably wouldn't have gone and done it.
No. No, it's a comedian. If he needs to do something, it's gonna be funny, or I'm gonna have a word with him afterwards at the side and say, "Yo, listen, that can't run again." Okay, just so we're clear. But nah, not getting off on the stage, slapping, and then I got to sit back down and like hope I win an award in a minute. It's
and then even his apology afterwards was just so all over the place. It was very odd, wasn't it? It wasn't really apologising to Chris Rock at all.
Just so I can do my bit for my boy. I don't think the slap was for Chris. I don't think the aggression was about that thing. I think this has been cooking. It's a whole bunch of other stuff going on, and this was just like the straw.
Yeah,
it doesn't excuse. I'm not saying it is an excuse. It's still wrong, but I don't think it was a momentary.
I'm not having that, because firstly, they've got more than enough money to go to counselling and therapy. If he's not happy, he leaves. And actually, if anyone else had done that in the public sphere, they would have been arrested most likely. And just because he's Will Smith, he was able to bloody win an Oscar afterwards. I find it completely unacceptable. I don't care what's going on with you. Sadly, we don't have that authority here. We don't sit down with everybody and go, "Oh, sorry, is something troubling you at home?" Like, you're grown, act like a grown human, and you've been also given the platform, so you need to respect that. I have no obligation of how sad or angry you are as a human being.
Yeah, I just think Will didn't want to be a meme for another 10 years.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. And in doing so, he's become a meme for another 10 years. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It doesn't excuse it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying I think there's more to this as well. Just got to say something for Will, that's all.
Well, thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be going and talking about more things in the future, but we are back. We're going to stay back, and some weeks it will be Kamal and I, sometimes it'll be me and Storm, because we want to talk about things without Kamal here.
Respect.
And yeah, sometimes we'll have like guests on as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, just to wrap that up, we saw a person react to a stimulus of someone speaking and react with violence. The problem with that is that loss of control and that escalation of a situation. Again,
though, I would say a lack of self-awareness. If your morals are, I am not violent, I am always the bigger person, I'm not, like, I cannot be, like, I cannot be offended. It's one of those things, people can say anything they want to me, and really, I'll think it's weird, but I'm not going to sit there and get angry about it. And I think once you allow yourself to get angry about something, well, then your behaviour can always be, you can always talk yourself out of something, because you can go, well, I did that because they said this, and no.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, like this loss of self-control. I think if there's anything like us as, normal people looking in on these weird people doing this madness can take from it, it's like, decide what you're about, decide what your morals are, and do not let another person with whatever that stimulus is, whether it's words, whether it's, certain actions, defend yourself, but don't let someone else come into your space, your world, your morals, your view of yourself, and make you change that because of something they say. Don't give anybody that kind of power over you. Know who you are. Hold that as your number one priority, and don't let these outsiders come in. Because look at this, someone with a great legacy has now tarnished it not going to ruin it. Obviously, the work's out there, but it's tarnished 100%. And actually, a lot of people won't mess with him anymore because of that. So, yeah, I think that's like for us people who can't get away with slapping someone because they annoy us. Take away from it. Look, know yourself, respect yourself, and don't let anybody else come into your space and take that power
Including
away.
a woman, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, if your woman is telling you to go and hit someone, they're not for you. Like, I would never ever ask Kamal to hit somebody for me. I think it's completely inappropriate.
Goodness, that's good to know.
I think it's completely inappropriate. And actually, I get really put off with like people that want to fight all the time or get into fight with people, because I just think like that's very immature, and clearly you're not clever enough to use your words. So I think if you're with somebody and they're making you get violent to protect them, no, unnecessary. It's bad behaviour from everyone.
Yeah, and also, as well as self-control, have the self-confidence to be able to walk away from an antagonising situation, because a lot of people will react purely because if I don't, then they're going to say this, or if I don't, then people are going to make fun of me because of this. You need to be able to control your emotions and be confident in yourself to be like, I don't want to react to this, so I'm not going to, and you can say what you want about it, but it's just not me as a person.
Yeah.
That's true power.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, and hopefully we were able to shed a little bit of our opinions on such a big topic at the moment where people are quite polarised actually, which I find odd in itself. And we will be back next week with another podcast, probably discussing something else in the public eye, but also seeing what we've done that week with Aim a Little Higher. So thank you very much, and Kamal, do you want to do your normal peace out thing that you do?
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Peace.